Hello everyone, it is Thursday afternoon. Forgot to get my laptop out. That means it is time for another Facebook Live. And I do this almost every Thursday afternoon. I have to miss next week again. We are going to be dog sitting for my kids in Northwest Arkansas, so I won't be around to do my Facebook Live next week. So you'll have another 2-week break, but then after that, I think I'm around for a while. We are playing with a new embossing folder today. It's buried under all this stuff. This is the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. And you saw, I posted yesterday on Facebook one that I did using this for a class. I don't have it right in front of me, where we took the white craft pad and kind of rubbed it across after we embossed, and that gave it kind of a distressed or whitewashed look. Today we're going to do kind of the opposite. So let me get this saved over on my page to get this link over there, and then we will get started. If this is your first time, I give away the card that we make today, the next floss tube. Excuse me. So last week we made this fun card with the coneflower celebration, so I will give that. I'll tell you who won that at the end. And and almost there. I can't talk and work on the computer at the same time. Okay. So I will tell you at the end who won last week's card. And then in 2 weeks, when I'm back in 2 weeks, then somebody will win this card. All right. Let me get back where I was. Okay. There we go. All right, we are ready to get started. Hey, Betty. So we're going to do a couple of techniques. As I said, the one I showed yesterday, we used an ink pad and brushed it across the cardstock after we'd embossed it. This time we're going to do something to the embossing folder before we emboss it. Let me get a drink real quick. So I have my embossing folder, and this is one of those really big ones. So you can actually do two 4 by 5 1/4 card fronts at the same time. So normally you would run this through and you would end up with this nice embossed image, but we want some color in here. So what we're going to do is take this, and you want to put it on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. So we're just going to take I'm using pecan pie, and you just take it and rub it across the folder. And it's going to get in the background, but not really in where the flowers are for the most part. A little more up there, and it won't be even, and that's fine. Whoop. All right. Once you do that, then you can lay your paper on there. Close that up. Hold on to it because you don't want it moving on you. Let me grab my cut and emboss machine. All right, so for an 3D, you put the plate, your folder, and then just this plate on top, and run it through. All right, and we can get this out of here. And those can get out of the way. All right, and then you end up with where you've got that pecan pie in the crevices, but not up on where the flowers are, not on the flower petals. And then all I do with this is I just take it to the sink and run it under some water and it cleans it right up. All right. So that's our first thing. Isn't that fun? And you could do this with any embossing folder. You just want to be sure you put your ink on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo. All right. Let me get a wipe just to get some of this ink off my fingers. It is a little messy, but it's still fun. And I love the way it looks. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do, the only really stamping we have on this card is our sentiment. And we are going to, I've already die cut, this is from Pecan Pie, and the sentiment I'm using, of course there's no sentiments with an embossing folder, so the sentiment I'm using is from this Impressions of Bloom, so I'm just using the thanks from that. And we are going to emboss it in white. So before we do anything, there is an embossing tools kit. And it has the embossing buddy, a paintbrush, and these reverse tweezers that are fantastic. So I'm going to take my cardstock. And this just gets the oils from your fingers off of it. So because you want the embossing powder to only cling to where you stamped. So we'll stamp thanks. This is Versamark, so this is a sticky ink. And then we will take our embossing powder, and I just put it in this, I need my tweezers, in one of these little plastic tubs. Just pour embossing powder all over that. And then if you see anything, that looks pretty good, but if you saw any flecks anywhere, then you could use the little paintbrush to get those off. All right, now this is going to get noisy here for a minute. So I have my embossing gun, and you want to turn it on the second setting. That's for embossing. The first one is just to dry things, but the second one is the hotter one. So sorry for the noise. And it'll take it a minute to get heated up, and then you will see that's starting to get bright white. There it goes. And then when you think you're done, just take a look and make sure it's all shiny, that you don't see any dull spots. Now it looks good. Now, it is a little bit soft to the touch for just a minute. I mean, it doesn't take long at all for it to get hardened up. All right, now we're ready to put everything together. So I have a pecan pie card base. And then because it's a dark color, I've got a piece of basic white to put on the inside. So if you have an inside, I don't think there were any. Yeah, we could have put the I appreciate you on the inside, which we still can. I was just looking at the stamp set to see if there was another sentiment. So there's this, or you could say thanks so very much. We'll just leave it because I don't know. Whoever gets this, I don't know how they'll want to use it. All right. And then we have our pretty embossed piece of paper. And I have 2 pieces of ribbon. I have to remember. Okay. So the longer one is going to go around here. Let's do it this way. Doesn't really matter. The flowers are facing all directions. So I've just got some tape You can use tear and tape. You can use your Stampin' Seal. And then this can go on our card. And because it's embossed, I like to use my green glue. And I'm trying to make sure I get some along the edge. Put this on our card. And then just hold it for a minute. I'm trying to get those edges to seal down to the card. Because it's embossed, it wants to kind of curve up. All right, that looks pretty good. And then I used mini dimensionals for this. And I just put them in the corners so it'll somewhat straddle that ribbon. So I just kind of put them in the corners here. All right, take off all of our backs. I'll put that over our ribbon. And then our other piece we will just tie around here. And I just tied it once like that. And then you can trim it down. And there you go. There is our card. So somebody will win this in 2 weeks when I'm back. All right. Let me tell you who won last week. So Debbie won this one. So she was lucky 2 times in a row. And then I want to show you some swaps. So last time I showed you what we call catalog case swaps. So those are ones that are copied from the catalog. These are just swaps, just regular swaps, so they can be anything. Let's see. This one is from Paula. And this uses the Impressions of Bloom, where we use the sentiment from. Not pretty. This is the, let's see if it says, no, this is from Gail. I don't remember, that's the other floral one. This one's in the catalog. This one is a online exclusive, and this one is in the new annual catalog. This is from Kay. It's like adventure something. That's cool. This one is from Beverly. I'm not sure which set that is. That's pretty. This is from Patience. That's like the watercolor something. I've looked at this one so many times. This is Susan. This is the Sips and Cheers. And look, it's a fun fold. Isn't that cool? That's fun. This is from Rebecca. So this is, I think this is the old, yeah, these are, well, that's not. I thought it was all the old in colors, but that one's not. That's fun. She like put them all together and then embossed the whole thing. That's fun. This one is Sherry. I'm not sure what that is either. Oh, it's that sentiment that has the scripty words and that has some flowers that go with it. That's pretty. This one is mine. It's the bird one. I should have written down all these before I showed them to you. If you have any questions, just comment and I can find them for you. I just don't remember them all off the top of my head. And this one is from Judy. And it's the same floral set or floral suite as this one. So really pretty. It's always fun to get swaps like that, especially if it's with projects that you know, stamp sets that you don't have. All right. That is our card from today. Thank you so much. I will not be here next week. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.